Hi, everyone. Welcome to Yotpo's SMS Marketing Masterclass webinar featuring Shopify. My name is Kim Winter. I'm the Director of Product Marketing here at Yotpo. And joining me today is Steve Hutt, who's a Senior Merchant Success Manager at Shopify. Thank you so much for joining me, Steve.
Well, number one, thank you for inviting me. I just massively appreciate it. I guess for me, I'd maybe do my quick buyout so people know who I am and kind of how I fit into the e-commerce world, because I've started literally, I believe in around 2000, I started eBay power seller, was drop shipping and doing a lot of things all the way through to the mid 2000s. Got involved in a startup in optical with visionpros.com. Launched that with a couple partners. I ran that for about 4 years. Took a very successful exit out of that company. They were selling contact lenses and eyewear. And then from there, decided to get involved in the agency world. So I was working at a very large digital marketing and web development agency in Vancouver, in British Columbia, where I live. Was there for 4 years, learned a lot about Shopify while I was at that agency. I got to meet Toby and Harley, the CEO and president, way back in the day. Never thought I was going to be working for Shopify, to be quite honest with you, but just it's amazing how serendipity can happen. Just love the Shopify product, and then decided, hey, you know what? I'm going to come and work for the company in the merchants, as you mentioned, in the merchant success position. I get the opportunity to be a strategic advisor for a lot of brands. I have a book of business, about 50 or so brands that I'm their main point of contact with Shopify, and I really help improve efficiencies and growth. And part of that learnings is where Yotpo fits in this mix too, because I do run a bi-weekly podcast series called E-commerce Fastlane, and I interview all partners in the Shopify ecosystem, so including Yotpo and the SMS Bump product, which was an acquisition to happen recently, and many partners in that ecosystem. So excited to be here, excited to share kind of, I guess, almost my front lines of kind of what I see with and the empathy that I get from the brands that I'm managing. So I'm hoping to share a lot about mobile and SMS today.
So excited to have you. And yeah, you have a ton to share, ton to contribute. It's a super, super jam-packed session. So everyone's joining us is definitely going to enjoy it. And what we're going to be focused on today, right, is how brands can use SMS to really create these revenue driving experiences in a mobile first world. And you talked about, Steve, how many brands you work with. We'll talk a bit about who is the mobile consumer? What does it mean, the rise of mobile? Why do we keep focusing on it, whether it's here in Yotpo, whether it's in Shopify? So tons to uncover. Before we do get started, for those of you that are joining this webinar series for the first time or just now getting to know both Yotpo and Shopify. So first, what is Yotpo? So we're an e-commerce marketing platform that gives brands the ability to win over their customers every single time with the solutions they need to succeed. So we have solutions for reviews, for visual user-generated content, loyalty, referrals, and SMS marketing, which is where we're focused today. In 2019, we acquired a category leader in SMS Bump, as sort of Steve alluded to earlier. And our vision for that really is to take SMS marketing, couple it into Yotpo in order to enable our brands to create even more exciting experiences for their marketing and really maximize results. Joining me today, Steve, Shopify. It's so funny to even sort of introduce Shopify, who's such an expert. But Steve, I'll let you talk a bit about Shopify, the all-in-one e-commerce platform.
Yes, well, the one thing about Shopify that's really exciting is just the massive growth that's been happening with Shopify. We're sitting on, I think publicly about 1.7 million customers, business owners that, have planted their flag in the ground that this is how their business is operating, is using the Shopify's commerce platform for all things, not just online. It's actually a lot of people are using our retail, our POS option. And I really think we're doubling down a lot on the retail side, because really, even in the middle of a pandemic right now, 30% or so of total goods and services were being bought online. I know it's scaled up quite quickly through 2020. What's interesting is that I believe Shopify is really putting a lot of investments in. When we do go back into traditional retail, what is it going to look like, and how can Shopify be there? And so that's part of it. I also think we're having upwards of 7,000 employees now in the company, and it's just a really exciting place to be, really just to help entrepreneurs and in their journey. We really are trying to democratize commerce, just make it easy. How do we build a path towards entrepreneurship? And that's really what the platform is all about. It's simple, it's easy to use, it's very cost efficient. Total cost of ownership is very low. And then the best part too that I think, and maybe why we're here today, is the partner ecosystem is what really sets Shopify apart from all competitors kind of in the shopping cart kind of phase or world, is the fact that we have a very robust partner ecosystem of apps and marketing platforms and partners, agency and development partners that are really there to help brands grow and scale. So glad to be here. Glad to share with Yotpo on the stage today.
Totally. And it's such an exciting time to really help brands succeed. You spoke a bit about the pandemic, what's been going on, what is retail going to look like? Also, the last couple of months, insane acceleration of e-commerce as well. So I think the thing I talk about most with brands lately over the last couple of months is just consumer behavior has really changed over the last couple of months. And that's something we really want to focus on today, because if we understand the ways in which consumer behavior change and what your consumers are doing, then you as brands can really succeed in making sure that you focus and double down on the right strategies to grow your business, right? And the first sort of big consumer behavior trend that we want to talk about is the time spent on mobile phones, right? We're all obsessed with our mobile phones. I was laughing earlier right before we started the webinar because I was like, where did I put my phone before the webinar? So I have it here with me. Nobody goes anywhere with their phones these days. Totally. But the time spent on it has also increased significantly over the last couple months. So we see 30% increase in mobile usage. Customers check their phones over 150 times a day. That's insane. When I saw this stat from the consumer survey, I was like, wait, am I that obsessed with my mobile device?
No, it is.
It's insane. And that accumulates to 4 hours a day. Okay. So, we're all working people. We all have things to do throughout the day. We've got friends, family, etc. But still, we're giving this device 4 hours of our day, which is definitely insane. And that's something that we as sort of e-commerce experts, you guys as brands, is something that we really need to understand and really need to start catering to. These mobile consumers are no longer a small group of customers. They're just, a huge percentage of your customers base, or of your potential target audience. And in order to win, we need to make sure that we sort of cater to them. Steve, I'd love to hear from you a bit about what you guys see in Shopify, right? We speak about the time spent on mobile phones. How does this relate to how mobile is now, the preferred way for consumers to shop?
Well, you're absolutely correct on that. I mean, even with the brands that I manage, I take a look in their admin just to kind of see what sort of traffic. Is it mobile traffic, desktop, is it tablet? Where's everything coming from? The conversion rate differences between all the different channels. And it's so interesting, just the massive growth that continues to happen year over year with mobile. And I know it got extra accelerated because of the pandemic right now, where people weren't at work or they're working from home and their phones were closer by. And a lot of people were doing lots and lots of shopping online. But one thing about Shopify that we've done recently and made some significant investments, literally, in the early, 2020, right in the middle of this pandemic, we decided to make a lot of very significant investments. And I want to go through a few of them today, just so everybody is clear that Shopify really is on your side. We really are trying to create and make technology accessible, but considering the mobile customer. And one thing that I think is really important, the first part is called Shopify Payments, paired with what's called Shop Pay. Now, Shopify Payments is a payment gateway. So a lot of people that if you're a business owner, you understand how you can use your store. When you check out, you can have a third-party gateway, or you can use a native process of being able to collect the money from inside Shopify. And so that's called Shopify Payments. But we've turned on an extra feature in there called Shop Pay. And what Shop Pay is it's an accelerated checkout option. So basically, it makes it a lot easier for those on their mobile devices to be able to check out. You literally, there's a button that comes up that just says Pay on it. You click that button, a text message comes to your phone with a 6-digit code. Enter that code in, and the sale is done. It's super quick. be honest with you, it's unbelievable. My wife even makes comments about it. She said, like, it's a no-brainer. Like, once you make one transaction on any Shopify store, and there's, as we mentioned at the top of the show here, there's 1.7 million brands that are on Shopify. And so in all likelihood, if you've made a purchase on a Shopify store, which is very likely, and they have Shop Pay activated, and you're a customer of any store on Shopify, now instantly it's so easy now to check out. So that's the native accelerated checkout option called Shop Pay. Nice thing about Shop Pay that I really love too is the fact that there's over 60 million people that are currently using the solution. There's 40 million in the US and then 20 around the world, so 60 total. So it's pretty amazing. We also have a 4% higher checkout speed, which is exactly what we want. You know, there's people are checking out on mobile, but having the Shop Pay button there makes a huge difference. The other thing to talk about, but it's fairly new actually, and we're actually just getting out of beta now. We're onboarding a lot of brands right now, and you'll see slowly over time. We may be able to share it maybe in the chat also at some point. But there's a thing called Shop Pay installments, and there's been a recent partnership with a company called Affirm. And what this does is it basically lets your customers buy now and pay later. And it's very mobile friendly. It's, you know, on screen, you have the option of pay now, which is the typical Shop Pay button, and you can check out, or you can pay in 4 equal installments, and there's no interest for the person making the purchase, and it's a very small fee that the merchant pays for the opportunity to be able to do that. And once again, you're shopping on mobile, it's mobile friendly. What's great about it, the fact that the average order value is significantly increased because you have that option of those 4 equal payments. So average order increase, I think it's almost 50% is our last stats that we have. And not to mention an 18% higher conversion rate because you're giving the customer on their phone the option of Shop Pay or Shop Pay installment. So breaking it all up. So just think of things like, imagine like if you sell higher ticket items, or you're trying to get people to include more things into their cart. The benefits here is that you can break it down to 4 equal payments. So high AOV and a higher conversion rate, that's a no-brainer. So it's pretty awesome. And then I think the final piece of the puzzle of these pieces that Shopify is making these kind of mobile investments is, it's an app actually, and it's actually in the iTunes or the Apple store, or in the Android store for Google Play. What's great about it, it's called Shop, and so you can search for it, the Shop app. What's great about this thing is that it's an app that actually stays on your phone, and what it does is it automatically tracks all of your online orders, not just Shopify store orders. You could be buying from Amazon or anywhere where you can buy online, and there's a delivery. It will automatically track them for you in your phone. So I have a full list now of all the places that I've shopped from. Yeah, it's really amazing. And then the nice thing about it, you get delivery notifications onto the app itself. And then you can actually start buying now right from within the app, which is really amazing. Now, there's even a curated selection of places that you used to shop or would like to shop, even some local ones. I mean, you're talking about like supporting, you know, your local independent stores. There's actually a little button that you can click right on the app itself to shop local. Once again, it's all in one app. It's mobile. That's the investment that we're making. It's pretty phenomenal. I know we talked offline before recording. You didn't even get it. So I'm hoping that you've downloaded it now, because there's literally like, there's so many people. I think there's over 30 million people have downloaded the app. It is absolutely like, it's blowing up, because it's a central place to have all of your notifications for anything you're buying online. But then as a brand, if you're on Shopify and you're listening in today, make sure you turn it on in your admin. It's free to turn it on, but you're giving your customers the opportunity. And then you as a merchant, you're able to then create a curated selection of products in the app for easy checkout. So totally awesome.
And I love hearing all this, right? Because everything I'm hearing is just the amount of work that Shopify is doing behind the scenes to empower brands to really focus on their mobile consumer, right? And the way I see it, like, we at Yotpo, you guys at Shopify, what we need to do is look at these numbers, right? I think the Black Friday, Cyber Monday numbers from the past year were insane to me when you guys published them, right? Yeah. The fact that over 67% of sales came from mobile in comparison to 33% on desktop, that just goes to show the amount of effort that we need to put for brands on mobile so that brands can really succeed and thrive. And it's not just us, right? Mm-hmm. So Steve, what I'm seeing, at least on my end, is that brands themselves are doubling down on mobile. So it's not just the tools that we're providing them, here at Yotpo or what you guys are doing in Shopify, right? Is that brands are focused on creating these mobile first experiences, from creating the pages that are mobile friendly to, to their cart. Do you even remember when there was a time when we would pinch and zoom so that we can go? That seems outrageous these days, right? Like you don't need to pinch and zooms. All the checkouts are optimized. Everybody's optimizing for load times. Definitely the payment options that you mentioned make it even that much more, mobile first experience. We're seeing brands use augmented reality, doing like mobile specific offers for the mobile consumers. So really the whole industry as a whole is doubling down on mobile. And that's something that's so exciting for us to see. And definitely that's something that's critical. And those numbers are just going to increase. So I remember a time when the mobile traffic was very high, but the purchases were not as high, right? So the mobile consumers didn't come with that intent to shop. They're now coming with that intent to shop, which makes this sort of the perfect opportunity to really double down on it, right? And as I look at these lists of all these things that brands are doing and double down on, to me, that perfect extension or the perfect next step is really doubling down on SMS marketing, right? And I'd love to hear a bit from you. What's still astonishing to me, and we'll talk a bit about the success of SMS and why SMS makes perfect sense for the mobile consumer, is really that while, over 89% of consumers want to text with their favorite brands through SMS, we still only see about, 48% of brands actually go and adopt SMS as a channel to sort of go ahead and reach out to those mobile consumers.
Right.
So I'd love to hear a bit from you in terms of what are you seeing on your end? How does SMS sort of cater to this mobile consumer?
Well, I mean, there's massive benefits to SMS. I mean, like I mentioned at the top of the show, I have a pretty large book of business that I manage, and I always bring up SMS because I know the open rate. I know you're saying 80, 90, some 98% open rate. It really is getting the customer's attention. But mobile traffic in general, it's increasing. The share of overall traffic, but at the same time, I also see, talking to brands and what I've seen through Shopify, is that I think engagement has kind of plateaued a bit, maybe even gone down a bit when it comes to email. And, and I think it's almost better to maybe rephrase the question a bit and talk about like what's a mobile first retention strategy. We always talk about, the cost, the customer acquisition costs are quite expensive just because the competition is out there. And, you always know that it's better to maximize your existing traffic and your existing customers. And I think mobile is definitely the way to do that. I also believe that there's a massive shift that's happening. This is what I see talking to brands, and really that shift is Amazon. I believe that consumer behavior, and I believe that these kind of consumer expectations really have changed, and there's some things to consider. Like Amazon is doing a lot of things really well. Number one, I believe we're conditioned quite a bit to expect very fast delivery. That's part of the Prime membership. They have the biggest selection available. Now they're the everything store, and definitely you go to Amazon, as a lot of people do, is for their first search, and it's usually the lowest price. And at least you want to see how it compares to maybe the local price. And so knowing that, and to fight Amazon, I believe that it, really is today the best way, the best strategy I can think of is one-to-one relationships with your customers. And this is something that Amazon is not able to do. And I've mentioned, consumers really are heavily dominant on mobile. You've shown it, we've shown it, it's proof. Shopify is putting significant investments into mobile, like we get it. Even all the themes that we have, the ones that are built by Shopify or third party, they're all responsive. They're definitely mobile friendly. That's sometimes they're just mobile first, these themes. But SMS really is, as you said, like it's the preferred channel. And the open rate is phenomenal, like 98%. Like that is just incredible, versus maybe less than 30% for email. It can get, I go to my email app and there's 30 other emails that are in there.
Totally.
And you don't really know where, if you get an SMS, all of a sudden you stand at attention and you're grabbing your phone right away because it's beside you, because you pick it up 150 times a day. You grab it and you're like, oh. And so I know we're going to talk about a story about a brand that we have a joint partnership with.
Totally.
But what's interesting is that, I believe that SMS should more be, I don't know, it shouldn't be a one-to-many. It really shouldn't be. It should be more much more than a marketing channel too. I really think that there is some benefits in building relationships with customers. I'd even call it maybe even conversational commerce. It's how do you build, because really it's a phone number and you're communicating from phone to phone through a phone number, not email. So it's definitely more intimate and more personal. And so, but think of these other things that SMS could be powerful for, like imagine customer support. You know, you could definitely want to help out there, or returns, or exchanges, or collecting reviews. A lot of things can happen.
So much use case. Yeah, so much use cases, so much strategies.
Insane.
Totally. I know I don't want to spoil it for everybody. We're going to jump into those favorite sort of use cases together. So I don't want to spoil it. But yeah, you couldn't have said it. I couldn't have said it better, right? It's about relationship building. It's about focusing on that one-on-one engagement. And, you know, I keep saying, you know, reaching out to the mobile consumer is on text messaging, right? You said it, that's our preferred channel of communication. They spend 2x more time texting that they do emailing, which is insane. We know that 89% of consumers have their text notifications on. So really just tons of benefits in terms of reaching out to consumers. And the way we at Yotpo like to think about it is, as a brand, you need to be where your customers are, right? You can't sort of have customers present on a certain channel and not communicate with them there. One, your competitors are there, but two, they just want to communicate with you. They expect to have a relationship with you. And like Steve said, SMS is different. Yes, it's a marketing channel, and we're going to talk about, you know, the marketing values of this channel on the webinar, of course, but it's also a channel to build relationships and have conversations. By the way, Steve, from a recent consumer survey we did, you know, SMS has a 209% more chance to get an answer back than any other channel of communication that brands have with their customers, right? So that goes to prove sort of what you talked about in terms of having a conversation and creating that relationship. Right. So I'd love to speak a bit about what types of SMS experiences brands are creating and the benefits that these brands see. But before that, let's talk a bit about how SMS empowers those experiences. Some of the things we talked about just now, right? Personalized conversations, it's really immediate. So I don't know if anyone in the audience knows this, but actually the average response rate to an SMS is less than 3 minutes. So one of the things I love hearing most from our brands when I talk to them is, you know, they say to me, Kim, listen, we send out an SMS campaign and that's it. We just see the numbers spike like immediately, the traffic to the website, the sales. And that's because it's really, really immediate. It's a mobile first engagement, which we talked about, and it really empowers that approach that Steve and I mentioned earlier, which is everything at the fingertips, right? If it's the payment option, if it's how you shop, if it's the messages and how you can ask brands questions. We'll show an example in a couple of minutes, right? But customers are reaching out to brands and saying, hey, I saw a friend with this backpack. She told me it's yours. I can't find it on the website. Like, how do I shop for it now? And the people that are replying to you on SMS, what we see is over 70% of them are loyal customer, which means that they're already with much more intent to purchase. And these conversations and these messages are like getting them through the door and making sure that they can convert to a purchase for brands, which is huge. So that's definitely important. So like I said, marketing channel, SMS is going to help you with driving revenue. It's going to help you with creating relationships, increasing your CLTV, right? Tons and tons of benefits. And we spoke a lot. I think the best next step is actually to see live examples, Steve, and see how our joint brands are actually crushing it with SMS and really driving success, catering to the mobile consumers, but also increasing their KPIs and what they need to do, you know, to succeed as brands. So the first example, one of my favorite one, is Parks Project. So Parks Project is actually using SMS to let customers know of new sales and exclusive back in stock offers and updates just for their SMS community. They're using a ton of A/B testing to really iterate and find the perfect message, how to cater to different type of segments. Steve, you mentioned it earlier. It isn't a one-to-many channel, right? Like very simply, it could cross the sort of the nice thin line when it's a bit too much. So you really want to make sure that you're A/B testing, you're iterating, you're really tailoring the experience with deep segmentation,
right?
To make sure that the experience is personalized. And, these types of experience, not only do customers love them and they're craving them, but over 80x ROI. You're not going to see these results with any other channel, right?
I know.
So one of the things we talk a lot about is brands that are not yet adopting it are sort of leaving money on the floor as is right now. With consumers that are already there, ready to interact with you and want to receive these messages. Steve and I also talked a bit earlier, and one of the things I said to him, I thought it was very funny, is so Saturday, one of my favorite brands, every Saturday, they do like a product drop of new products. And I was waiting for it, and somehow I missed it in between my busy day. And I didn't get a text message. And I was so sad. The day after, on Sunday morning, I came to the website and I tried looking to see what were the products that dropped. And the dresses I want were already sold out. So, I was craving that text experience. I really said, wait, why didn't I get this text message? What happened? I had gone back into my inbox after. I got an email, but it was buried in so many other emails that I had going on. And just receiving that text message would have been huge. So I think that just, goes to show how much the consumers want to get these updates from their favorite brands. And I think Vici is a great one that's really, really killing it when it comes to these product drops. Right. And Steve, I know you know them personally, and you manage the account. So so let's talk a bit about these product drops and fast fashion and what it means to be able to reach out to customers in such an immediate way, sort of.
Well, yeah, I mean, the engagement is definitely through the roof, and I managed the account for just shy of 2 years. I actually went to their location in a suburb of LA. Really, really, really interesting company. Really well executed, family business. Former parents were working for large retail, decided to take their run on the fast fashion, just incredible operation. But one thing I noticed for sure, and my wife is actually a customer because she knew I was managing the account. She says, "Oh, like I had no idea that you manage this account." I said, "I do," and they're like, "Okay." And so she, is a raving fan now, and so she definitely looks forward to. I believe they have like a Sunday drop where they send a message out and they have a certain curated selection of product, maybe a couple hundred SKUs, maybe 100 SKUs or so. They tend to sell out very quickly. So, but one thing I've noticed is that it's immediate engagement, because as soon as that message comes out, they're going to sell out. There's only going to be 500 pieces. And I think there's some science behind a lot of this, because I think in fashion in general, kudos to the Vichy company. But what's interesting is that maybe it's a pair of shorts. They'll have them available multiple sizes, but they'll have 500 available because they just don't know how well it's going to sell. And so the benefit here is that everybody knows that if it's something that you want, you get that text message, you're going right away to the store, you're going to click it, the whole flow is just going to happen, and they're on Shopify. So Shop Pay is going to work. The whole flow just works. And then Vichy then decides, well, it's selling really quickly, and then what they do is a button pops up on their screen that says, okay, notify me when back in stock. And they use that data and that information for the next day to make more buying decisions, saying, wow, we sold out in 3 minutes or 10 minutes, this sizes or the whole collection. We need to order more, and then we educate the customer saying, hey, in 3 or 4 days, we're going to get more stock in. Sorry, you missed the first wave. The second wave is coming. And so that's one thing I love about Vichy. They're really on top of it. But they know that their consumers, especially on Sunday, are on their phones. They're not waiting at their desk.
And I'm the best. Yeah. And I'm the best example of it. Your wife, right? So we have actual people here on the webinar waiting for these drops. So love what they're doing. And it shows it, right? So not only do we have like real testimonials here on the webinar, but we've run a consumer survey to understand what types of messages brands want to receive as we sort of educate the marketing on how to do SMS marketing and how to approach it. And what we saw is that over 50% of consumers want to hear about a new product launch and update via text message. They want to be there first. They understand that products sell out. And if you're sort of a brand advocate, you want to get, the new shorts or the new dress we mentioned, Steve, right first. You don't want to wait for the next 5 days for Vici to let you know that it's back in stock. So that's, I think, another amazing strategy and use case of SMS marketing. The two strategies we showed right now are definitely about maximizing sales, but it's also important to mention that SMS isn't just about maximizing sales, right? So the next examples are actually about increasing customer lifetime value and deepening relationship with brands. So another brand that's really, really succeeding with SMS is United by Blue, obviously also an amazing Shopify brand, who's running personalized SMS experiences that really asks the customers to engage back. So they're really, every message that they send has a question or has some sort of call to action to reply back. So they can really foster these one-on-one relationships. And we spoke to Melissa, I think it was about a month ago, to ask her, like, how's it been getting these, responses from brands? What are they responding to? What are they asking you? How do they engage with you? And she says that it's so exciting because it's loyal customers that reach out with questions. When is the next sale? Like, when will this product be back in stock? I saw this product and I really want it. And to them, it's all about meeting the customer where they are, right? So they don't want to go to the website. They don't want to open a support ticket. They want, if they're at the park, if they're at a coffee shop speaking to another customer that just purchased from United by Blue, they just want to text. They want to text and they want to get the brand feedback. So United by Blue is seeing over 80x ROI with these types of really personalized engagements. And that's huge, huge, huge. Tons of one-on-one conversations, which their customer experience managers are obviously answering to create that immediate at your fingertips experience that we spoke about. Awesome. Another example that I thought was really, really strong to highlight is Mountain Ops. So we spoke about conversations, how United by Blue is sending out messages, sort of empowering customers to respond back. What Mountain Ops is doing is actually building conversational automations to ask customers questions and then use these attributes and preferences to better personalize the rest of the engagements through SMS, right? So anything from what types of messages do you want to get from SMS, right? So some customers are really looking for those product launches, which I spoke about, I'm waiting for them on my seat. I keep looking at my text messages to see when they come in. Others are more prone to hearing about sales. We've got tons of brand loyal advocates that really want to get best practices. So this is something we see a lot in the supplements industry, health and beauty, fitness, all that. They're purchasing something and they'd love to get best practices via text. Like, once it gets delivered, how do I use this protein to best of my knowledge? What can I do with it? So this is a great example by Mountain Ops where they actually ask you what your fitness goal is so they can make sure that they recommend the right protein for you and then provide you the best practices to use this protein in a way that's going to help you get to your fitness goals. And the ROI is insane. So 222x ROI, over 36% click-through rate and 27% conversion rate. You don't see these stats in any other channel. Really engagement rate out the roof. And we're seeing much higher than an 8x higher engagement rate than the typical email messages that they send out, right? So this is proving out to be, a different type of engagement for them with their customers.
One thing I noticed too, I have a brand that's a coffee replacement company, and they have exactly the same type of performance. One thing they did, for those listening today, that would be a very unique way to use SMS is to offer delivery notifications, kind of just-in-time text delivery notifications. Instead of it going to email, literally they've set it up so that they automatically get triggers to let them know that it's been shipped or it's on your doorstep right now. Literally, they text message the person, and then the person knows that it's sitting outside ready to go and pick it up. Because sometimes if it goes through email, you don't know it's sitting there or in your mailbox. The other benefit, exactly what you said, they also are able to send a list of different recipes and how to use the product. So it just continues, especially with a subscription-based type company, you want to keep building that kind of relationship. So you place the order, there's going to be a welcome series. And I think we're going to talk about some flows and things and some recommended, ways of setting up SMS, I think, to be successful early on. But they've did all that sort of thing. They even added on further to saying, okay, now it's been delivered. Now let's continue on with that engagement because you're a new customer and we like the lifetime value of being on a subscription option. But through text now, you're building that one-on-one relationship. Here's this recipe and try this, or join our Facebook group. And they have all things organized in flows all through SMS. So it's really amazing.
It's amazing. And exactly that. The delivery has been amazing. Talking about, catering to mobile first. Who isn't ordering something and is excited to get it? Who doesn't want to know immediately when it's downstairs in the building, running out of a meeting to go get the new product, right? So definitely that's all about delivering that great experience, transparency, updating on time is all huge use cases. I think we added one more use case here or two that we love, Steve, when we were talking. So Googan Squad also using those triggered flows that you just talked about. So not just deliveries that they're doing or welcome or all those, triggers but they're really using SMS to own in on abandonment triggers, right? And cart abandonment, browse abandonment, definitely one of the biggest pain points as an e-commerce brand that you're faced with, and you want to make sure that you solve, and you want to make sure that you have a good strategy for. And utilizing the really high engagement rate and the immediacy that comes with SMS allows you to create flows that have just such a better sort of results. You see here over 40% conversion rate, over 142x ROI. Again, there's nothing to say, and incredible metrics. And it's really targeting the pain point that you have in order to maximize sales month over month as an e-commerce brand, right?
Right.
So that's about triggered flows at the right time and really mapping out the customer journey and ensuring that you're reaching out to them at the right time with a personalized message. And I think the last one, I'm pretty sure it was so hard to choose from all the amazing things that brands are doing on SMS as we were sort of choosing our favorites, right? Is Princess Polly also one of the favorites at Shopify and at Yotpo. And they're actually using Yotpo's SMS and Yotpo's loyalty program together to create really cool strategies and use cases for loyal customers, right? So Steve, earlier you mentioned using SMS to send out review requests, things like that. All these amazing strategies are ones that Yotpo is actually empowering brands to do, being that we have both reviews, visual user generated content, and loyalty within our platform. So that's part of this idea of an e-commerce marketing platform that allows you to sort of enjoy additional synergies, additional data points about your customer. And from what we see from Vici, over 50%, from Princess Polly, I'm sorry, over 50% of their VIP customers are signed up for SMS. So that goes to show just how many loyal customers that you want to engage with, you want to ensure that you're increasing CLTV with, are on SMS as a channel. And when they're running personalized engagements to the loyalty community versus not the loyalty community, you see that the loyalty community has over 10x higher ROI, right? So these customers, these mobile consumers that are on SMS, these are your loyal customers. These are customers that want to hear from you more frequently. And they're voting with their feet, if you may. They want to hear from you on SMS as their preferred channel, which I think is really important. Steve, we saw some amazing strategies. And I think one of the things that you and I spoke about is that brands are still hesitant to launch another channel, right? And I can understand it. It's a scary thing. And you've got 100 things going on in your day-to-day. I do, you do, and definitely our e-commerce brands that we're trying to really help drive revenue. So what I thought would be really impactful is to speak a bit about what does it mean to get started with SMS? What are some of these quick wins that they need to know in order to drive results, right?
Well, one thing about the, Yotpo's, I'm going to call it SMS bump because that's kind of my original story behind it.
Absolutely.
I know the acquisition, it's all part of the Yotpo organization now. Even Swell Rewards being the loyalty and rewards solution now that's all built in. So over time, Yotpo has really been building themselves up as being a very powerful platform to really help, Shopify brands to grow and scale. But, as far as the SMS side, I get the pushback a lot from brands saying, okay, we agree with you that likely the open rate is there, the engagement rate is there, all these benefits, like we get it. We're just not sure how to execute on it, because the one objection that we get is that they're worried about, let's say, doing a campaign and an email goes out and an SMS goes out, because they don't want to tick off their customer. They don't want to, they're trying to build this relationship with a customer. And what they're worried about was how do I understand what the cadence is and the preferred channel of communication? How do we figure that out? Well, I know Yotpo has that figured out, because there are ways of asking the right questions and updating the customer record to know how they want to be communicated with. So that's an easy part. Then I say, you know what? Okay, if you don't want to get into the campaign building side, like doing drops and doing promotion and segmenting customers and doing a lot of personalization, which I think is the necessary next step. But I think the first step for those listening today, and I educate my brands a lot that are not doing this, I listen, you need to get SMS bump, or through the Yotpo group, you need to add it on. And then from there, you need to turn on some of the automation flows. You have a couple that are in there. Literally, the second you turn them on, instantly your revenue goes up, because there's money being left on the table. Pete, once again, you've shared it. It's very clear that it's the preferred channel. Brands believe it, but they don't believe it until they actually see it in their own brand. So I go check, turn on the cart recovery, the browse recovery, the cart recovery. Turn that on and run it for a month. You'll be shocked at the amount of revenue that comes in instantly. And then think about the amount of revenue that you lost for the previous year not having it on.
You didn't.
Moving forward, it's like, okay, moving forward, we get it. And then from there, I think it's a gateway. It just like all of a sudden things start to snowball. You're like, okay, you're right. Preferred channel, cart recovery. Now I have these customers. Now the next part is the segmentation, the personalization, the one-to-one, which I think is where you guys do a phenomenal job of setting that all up. So I'll let you maybe share more things that you're seeing on your end.
Yeah, no, I think I couldn't have said it better. So you sort of took everything that I was going to say, but I think what's really exciting about SMS to me is, there are tons of things that I get told by, I don't know, like a fitness trainer or tons of things in my day to day where somebody's like, just get started, try it, but it takes a lot of time to see results, right? And I'm laughing because I think fitness and nutrition is like one where it sometimes is like, you need to work out a lot in order to see great results, right? And it definitely, is important and it makes you feel really good. What's really exciting about SMS is, like you said, there are quick wins in order to test it. We have many brands that we speak to that say, Kim, we were so scared in the beginning to do it, but we decided that we're going to start small. We started small. And that's it. We were hooked. There was nothing left to prove. It's really fast. So just starting small, seeing the results, taking that first 30 days to activate a couple things. Obviously, our customer success managers will strategize with brands exactly what is right for them to activate based on their business goals, based on what they need. That's the way to dip your toes into a new channel without now taking this like massive project on yourself that is going to be, it's scary. I get it. It's scary. I'm scared to take more projects on myself. So just putting myself sort of in the shoes of the brands that are here with us today. Definitely start small and also use us. That's why we're here for Yotpo Shopify. We're here to help you maximize results. We're here to recommend which flows, which tools you need to just activate. And we're building our products so that all you need to do really is to come in and activate before you sort of invest a ton into extra things and extra customization and all that stuff, which is obviously always possible down the line. So what I really wanted to share is quickly the way we here at Yotpo approach sort of SMS marketing and our winning approach. We'll share this really fast and then talk about the quick wins the way Steve and I see them. So for one, what we really want you to understand is that SMS should engage customers at every part of the customer journey. So if you have a fake sort of customer journey in your head as we're going through this, right? SMS starts at the top, right? It engages your customers in maintaining brand awareness. So all those mobile consumers, like we said, I was shocked I didn't get a message, right? So you need to get those messages out there to keep the brand top of mind. Then you need to activate these messages that help you maximize the sales throughout the buyer journey. So those right points in the buyer funnel where your customers need, a nudge, a message, a discount, an offer, anything of that sort to maximize sales. Cart abandonment drops to mind. A win back flow for customers that haven't come back in a while, or speaking to our loyalty customer base. So, letting them know of a new VIP tier reward, letting them know once they have enough points in their program to redeem a discount.
Right.
And then last but not least, and it's funny enough that I mentioned the VIP tier options in the loyalty, is you want to use SMS to increase CLTV. And that's finding out who your loyal customer base is and letting them know of what's going on and what you have offer, new product launches, which we talked about, conversations, exclusive offers on SMS, all these great examples that we showed you earlier. And I just walked through this in a vision, but this is what it looks like actually, right? So we get started with you by mapping out which one of these messages you need to send out in automations and perfectly timed triggers. So what you're going to see us do is work with you to map out, once the customer signs up, what they need to do. After they sign up, what happens if it's cart abandonment, if it's, browse abandonment, any of those things. And after that, we're just going to go in and insert those brand awareness engagements, customer lifetime value engagements. And we actually come to our brands with suggestions. So what are the top verticals in the space doing? How are they really, helping drive results? By the way, Steve, funny enough, have you heard any brands speak about, what will I do with the SMS copy?
Well, not really. For me, it's just like, I think every brand has their own voice. So I think the way you massage the copy is very unique to every single brand. But one thing I do like the fact is that there already are pre-built flows and copy that are already pre-built into the tool, which I guess, like you said, dip your toe in the pool, so to speak, and get you started. And so I think that takes away some of the anxiety, this analysis paralysis of looking at, I do all this. No. Just turn on some of the basics and the language. The number of characters on SMS is small. It's very easy, but SMS Bump through the Yotpo group does an amazing job of having that ready and available for a brand.
Totally. And I think, to me, the reason I ask is many brands come to us and say, SMS is different. So what copy should I use, right? And that seems sort of something that stresses brands out. So I'm here to say, worry not. We're here to help you craft that perfect message.
Right.
It's all about ensuring that your brand voice gets across. Like Steve said, there aren't a lot of characters. So we'll come with sort of the best practices, the ideas, things to help you build this sort of winning approach that I'm presenting here, and ensuring that you get maximum impact for SMS. So really, 3 items I think to leave this webinar with, if I had to say, and 3 quick wins. The first one is to activate, 1 way, 2 ways, 3 ways, we'll choose with you, ways to collect subscribers, because that's critical, right? You have to collect mobile subscribers. You have to collect them in a compliant way. 2, activate 2 or 3 automations. Again, we'll strategize. We'll help you decide which ones, whether it's us, whether it's Shopify, based on your metrics, based on your results, we can help you decide which ones. And then the third is to get started with 1 campaign that you try out. We can find either the perfect holiday or the perfect product launch or the perfect, exclusive sale, and really help find that tailored group so that the message that you send out is personalized, it's relevant to them, they're happy to engage with it. And that sort of creates that whole sort of tree of SMS engagement.
Love it.
Anything that I missed, Steve, in terms of getting started?
Yeah, no, I think that's it. I think you hit the nail on the head. I think that's the big takeaway for today is that SMS is the preferred channel. If you're not doing SMS right now, you need to finish this webinar, and you need to literally get the SMS product from Yotpo. You need to add it on to your tech stack, and you need to turn on some of them, with help of merchant success through Yotpo, but turn on some of the automation flows that are already pre-built into the tool, and that will prove to you that you're actually leaving money on the table. You will convert in a channel that your customers want to communicate in. Not to mention, people are busy. That's the benefits of this, is that these automation flows just instantly work because people get busy. It's not that they don't like your product, they're just getting used to you. And they add it to the cart and they left because they're busy. Then all of a sudden, a text message comes through an hour later. Oh, checkout.
Totally.
Trust me, it works.
No, that's amazing.
Yeah.
I love the way you phrased it. It's easy, it's simple.
Yes.
And I'm looking here in the window in the chat. Basically, we already have questions coming in. We've been talking for so much and we're having such a great time. I see that we have tons of questions coming in.
Okay.
So I see my team highlighted a couple for us.
Okay.
I think the first one we actually spoke to is basically, we already have an email program. We're not sure how SMS fits in, which is definitely a great question that we hear from brands. Yeah. We spoke about this a ton, I think, throughout the webinar. What we're seeing from brands is that email sort of becomes this like stagnant channel. Right. It has around an average of 20% open rate. Those of you that are on the higher side, that's amazing. So the way I like to see it is sort of there's this, pool of customers, right? And you still have left like 80% of customers that aren't opening emails, aren't engaging with them. And now your question is, how are you going to reach out to these customers, right? And the best way to do that is adding in another channel, SMS, top of the line there, in order to reach out to those mobile consumers. Mm-hmm. So that's definitely a really important question. I see here a question. It says, my marketing team is literally only 2 people. So we're kind of scared of adding another channel. Steve, we just talked about this. Yeah. What would you say to this sort of customer?
Well, same thing again, once again, the analysis paralysis thing again, like don't get overwhelmed with it. The idea is that this is the preferred marketing channel for most customers and most brands. So knowing that, turn on the automation flows instantly just to see the revenue lift you're going to get and the conversion lift and the average order value lift. This is like, it's an amazing channel. So do that first. See the results, and then from there, your mind will really open up about what other opportunities are available from campaigns and one-to-one communication.
Amazing. And then the last one that was flagged here for me, and I love it, is my team is hesitant about texting. We're worried that it might feel spammy. How do you make sure it doesn't annoy customers? We talked a lot about this in the webinar as well, right? The way we see SMS, the way we approach it, is that it needs to be an amazing experience for your customers, right? So what we're going to do with you and Yotpo, if you join us, is really go in, map out, what are you currently doing? How do you currently engage with customers? What do you customers want to hear from you? What is the right sort of engagements to ensure that we create an amazing experience for customers? And it is really important to make sure they have a great experience. They want to communicate with you, and you're not overdoing it in any channel, by the way, not just SMS, also about email, also about social, right? Like there's this thing about, texting or engaging with your customers like you actually know them and you know what you want. And it's not fun if they're getting thousands of emails from you as well, right? So I guess my main sort of the way I view it is you should be concerned about this in every single channel, but the fact that you're concerned is not a reason not to try, not to test, and not to use insights that we have, surveys that we run, strategies, examples from brands that have done it in order to see success.
And, the other thing too is that, just to reiterate that a bit too, is that, SMS, as you said, they have a very low unsubscribe rate, which I think is another real great benefit of wanting to get involved with SMS. Even though if you're a little bit, on the fence about it, having a low unsubscribe rate, you have really great modals that are built into it for exit intent and for ways of grabbing an email, but also grabbing the phone number as part of the opt-in, the legal opt-in process. I'd also think of things like, getting higher engagement and higher ROI, like overall, and, just, I think at the end of the day, you're just making happy customers. I mean, that's all we really want as brand owners, just having happy customers that want to engage in the channel of their preference. And that channel, honestly, is SMS. It is proof that Shopify is making significant investments in mobile. Our phones are beside us all the time. We're not we're not an aberration. This is true. And so Shopify knows that with Shop Pay, and Shop Pay installments and the Shop app, and then being able to have SMS on your phone, like this is the choice. So thank you for coming on the show, or thanks for having me. I think this has been like very impactful for me. Life of learning. I mean, that's just how things are in the world. And I want to thank those that are coming on the show today and listening, because I think, and watching this slide, I think you guys have put together a really, really, really great and impactful webinar today. And just want to thank you for inviting Shopify.
Thank you for joining me. I had a blast. Thank you for joining me. We're really, really excited to speak more to any brand that's interested about SMS, myself, Steve. If we didn't answer questions that you have here in the chat, feel free to email us. You see the email here. We will respond to questions via email. Any way you want really to reach out to us. We're just really excited to have you here, and excited to continue empowering brands to win, right? Like this is sort of the decade for brands. This is the time for brands to shine. And just being here on the front lines, helping you maximize these relationships, reach out to your customers is a pleasure for us, and we're excited to continue doing it.
Well, thank you so much for having me, and thank you for everybody for listening and watching today.
Thank you, Steve. Thank you. Bye-bye.